Hey guys, today I would like to show you how to do 3-color mosaic crochet. Now what makes this a 3-color mosaic crochet as opposed to standard 2-color is you're actually going to be able to work 2 colors in the same row. So this is technically like tapestry crochet with overlay mosaic crochet stitches kind of hiding the color change behind it. I've been a little nervous about doing a video like this because this is a more advanced technique. So if you are new to mosaic crochet, I would definitely recommend checking out the beginner's tutorial before starting this one. And also check out the special stitches video because this video will cover how to do color changes with special stitches. So it's important to know how to do those first. This pattern right here is what sparked my need to make a 3-color mosaic crochet video because this is the retro sunglasses pattern, and without this lens color being different from the background, they kind of just look like regular glasses, and I want them to be sunglasses. So that is one of the ones we're going to work with today. I am going to show you the basics for making 3-color mosaic crochet so you can take a regular standard 2-color pattern, and in a spot where you'd like to change the color, I'll show you how to do that with those different stitches. If you want to stick around to the end of the video, I am going to finish this pillow panel that only has 3 sections. I started this like a year and a half ago, and it's time that I finally finish it, and I'm going to do it on camera. So this one, we're going to add this cat eye pattern right here, again at the top, and then I'm going to repeat this one here so you can kind of see how the stitches work, and I will also show you how the back looks because there's a few different techniques for doing 3-color, and I really just want to do the easiest way, especially because the patterns are complex enough with the different stitches. So I'm going to try and make it as easy as possible. So now that we have all that covered, let's get started. So let's start with something really simple. This one is the mini skulls pattern, and this one has a lot of very basic double crochet, single crochet stitches in this section here, and this will be a good example to show you how 3-color works. So for this one, let's make the first skull white and we'll make the second skull pink. So all of the color A rows, we're going to use black. So all of these rows will just use black, and we're not going to do any color changes on those rows. But for any color B rows, we are going to carry the color that we're going to use for this skull, and we're going to start the row with the color that we want for this skull here. So 2 colors in all of the even rows where we want to switch colors. So when you're looking at a chart like this, it would make sense if we made our color change right here. So if we're working all of these stitches in white and we want to make these pink, it would make sense to change it right there. So we're going to mark that one. And then again, row 6, we want all these white, but when we want these pink, we're probably going to want to switch here. You might see where I'm going with this. And then with row 8, again, we want this to be pink. So let's mark this one. So these will be, assumably, where we would want to switch the colors to where they're hiding behind those stitches. But if you do it like that, it actually ends up looking like this. So why do we have white coming out here, and it even shows up on this side? And that is because we're not marking our chart correctly, and I'll show you how to fix that. You can definitely do a mosaic crochet like this with 3 colors. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with this, but really I want mine to look like this. This, you don't see any of the white. Even when you push it over this way, you don't see the color change. It's like it's not there. You can even push this over and that color is hiding all the way back there. How do we do that? Let me show you. So first things first, this is not the best place to start when you're going to switch colors. You actually have to look all the way down here. And the reason for that is row 2 is what you're seeing right here and here. So when you're working row 3, these are the only stitches that you're really working into the second row. So all of these will be visible in this row. So then when you go to add overlay stitches, you're pulling up whatever is down here. So ideally you need to start, row 2 will be a 2-color row. So already we're starting all the way back here and not up here in row 4. So then when we are working row 4, we have to consider row 5 because those stitches will also be from row 4. So if you're actually changing the color right here, that is what you're going to end up seeing in row 5. So because we're not going to color change here, and we can actually do it either over here or over here, the best trick that I found is we're not even going to think about when to start this. When we are done with a color, we're immediately going to switch to this color. Therefore, we don't have to worry about any of the color peeking through on this side. So it's like when you're done with the white, you'll already have the pink on here. So keeping that in mind, row 2 will actually be switched over here. This is still going to be a white stitch, but you're going to actually have pink finish the stitch. We're going to mark that one. And when we are trying to figure out where to mark row 4, we need to consider these stitches here still have to be white, and then after that it could be pink. So this is the last stitch. This one will be white that switches to pink after this stitch. Therefore that one will still be white above it. And now row 6, same thing. This is the last stitch that we need to be white, and then we can switch to pink after that. So we are going to mark that one as well. And then row 8, this one we don't need white to be above it anymore. So we are going to end this stitch actually with half of a stitch. And this is a DC decrease, and we will finish that single crochet stitch with pink. So this will end up being white and those will be pink. And if you're looking at this and you're like, I don't want to figure this out and I don't want to do it, then my biggest suggestion to you is to just do a pattern that is already marked with all of these 3 color stitches, because I know it does get a little confusing. But if you are determined to get a pattern to be 3 colors and it's already just 2 colors, this is the easiest way to do it. Don't think about when it should be changed. Just think about, I don't need this color anymore. We're going to switch to this color. And now let's swatch this up real quick so you can see how this ends up looking. Okay, I already have my first foundation row done. So row 1 is already done here. And we are going to start row 2 with 2 colors. Now this is the color that we want to start the first skull with. And this is the color we are going to carry. Start by taking the color that you're carrying and just hold it over the base like that. We're just going to add our border stitch directly over the color that we are carrying. So let's just make a border stitch here. If you're unfamiliar with border stitches, I do cover that in many previous videos. But again, we're just going right over this color here. And I don't think it's necessary to really secure it any more than that. That's all we really need. So we have a tail of both colors on this side, and we are ready to start row 2. So for this technique, I'm actually just going to float this behind it with any double crochet stitches or any special stitches. And anytime you have a single crochet, that is when you are securing this. So for row 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochet, and then we'll get to that one. So let's do 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what's good about not securing the color you're carrying is sometimes you'll need to pull it so it's not bunching up anywhere, especially with the first 2 rows. Those are the most obnoxious. Okay, we have our 4 single crochet, and now we are up to this one right here, and this is where we are going to switch. So when we are switching colors, stop crocheting over this one. That is like the most important part, is we are just going to drop this. We are not crocheting over it anymore. We are just going to work with the white. We're going to start a single crochet stitch, and it's literally 1 step. Insert your hook, pull through a loop, and that's it. Stop. And now we are going to take the yarn that we were working, pull the pink back over. So now the pink is across here like this, and the white we are going to fold over the back like this. So now pink is across, white is down, and I do that because you can see it gives it tension. So now this pink isn't just free in the back. Now it's got some tension here, which makes it much easier to control. So now all we need to do is slip stitch to finish that stitch, and now we're in pink. And we need to pull this white one over, and now we will start crocheting over the white with the pink. And when we look at the chart, the rest of them are pink. We're not switching anymore, so we can just go all the way across to the end. We don't even need to count. Row 2 is such a pain. It gets so much easier after row 2, I promise. I feel like the yarn starts behaving once you get these rows established. It's like hard to hold in the beginning, but it gets easier. So we'll just quickly add singles all the way across over the white. And when we get to the end where we're adding our border stitch, just add the border stitch right over that white one. And that's all we need to do. Now we can cut both of these. And now we are ready to move on to the next row. And now in row 3, because this is just a regular black row and no color changes, we can just kind of quickly put those stitches in. This was just standard double crochet and single crochet stitches, so I think to save time, I'm only going to show you the color change rows. But I just wanted to show you that doing the rows like that worked out perfectly fine. You don't see the colors popping out on the sides, and we are ready to move on. So just like we did for row 2, we are going to start with the color we're carrying, and then we are going to add the border stitch directly over it. So now looking at row 4, we have 2 single, 3 double, and then we will switch. So every time you have a single, you are going to crochet over the color you are carrying. So we have 2 single to start that row, and then we have 3 double crochet, and we're not going to crochet over this. It's easier to just let it float in the back. So we'll add our 3 here. And now we've come across the stitch that we are switching. And now this is a single crochet stitch, so we are going to not crochet over the pink. We are going to leave it here. We are going to start our next stitch with a single, which is 1 step. Put your hook in, pull 1 loop up. That's it. We're going to pull the pink back over here. So we are going to crochet over it again. And now we are going to take this working yarn and fold it down in the back like this. This gives it tension, so you can work this a whole lot easier. Now we will just slip stitch to finish the stitch and pull the white over. And now the next stitch is another single, which we will start and crochet over the white. and one more single over the white. And then we have 3 double crochet, which will let this float in the back. And now we are ready to find this white one, and make sure you're not too loose back here. Make sure it's just right, just straight across. If you need to adjust it after you add a stitch, you can do that. So our next stitch is single. We're just going to go right over the white one and finish the row with another single, and we will add a border stitch in the last stitch here on top of the other border stitch. And that is it. Row 4 is done. And I will run and throw in row 5, and I will be right back. And now row 5 is done, and I'm going to put in a border stitch over the pink, and we can start row 6. So row 6 is single, double, single, double, single, and then we will switch at the end of this DC. Okay, single over the pink. And then double will be pink behind it. Single, I'll crochet over it to secure it so it's not completely floating in the back. Next one, double. We'll let it float in the back. If it starts getting a little weird, you can pull it so it's nice and straight back there. Next one, single. You can crochet over that one. So that one is secure. And now we're going to start a double crochet. Leave this one back here because this is the color that we're switching with the DC. So we will start our stitch like we normally would, and we are going to work the stitch until we have 2 loops on our hook just before you finish the double crochet stitch. So hold it across like this, and we're taking the working yarn and folding it behind it, and we're using that to keep it from going all over the place. Slip stitch through both to finish the stitch, and that is how you switch with a double crochet. And the next stitch is a single, so again we will take the white and start crocheting our single over the white in the next stitch. So we'll add one. Next one is a double down here. Then single, we're going to secure that white one with the stitch, and then double, let it float in the back, single over the white, secure it in place, and another double, and the last stitch, single right over the white. And then we will finish with another border stitch to finish this row. And if you want to take a look in the back, some patterns you'll have much longer sections of these strands that are not connected. I think it's perfectly fine, especially if you're making a pillow or something flat. If you're making a blanket, this might be a little irritating to you, but this is the easiest way to do color changes. And now I'm going to jump ahead and do row 7, and then we will start row 8. And now we come across this wild ride of a row, row 8, and I am going to go pretty quick doing this row. If you really don't have any idea what this is, I have a full tutorial about how to do the mini skulls pattern where I show you how to do these. All we need to know, really, starting with a single, we're doing these stitches, and we are going to stop right before we get to this color change right here. So just like before, we're going to crochet over the pink with any single crochet stitches. This is a DC decrease that starts with a single, so there's another one right here. And then we start the DC decrease on this side. We're going to go to the middle and finish this DC decrease. Pull them all together. Now we have another opportunity to add a single crochet stitch in the middle and connect this pink one again and hold that in place. And we're doing the next DC decrease, but this one we need to stop before we finish the decrease. So we will start this one again at the base right here, pull through one loop, pull through two loops, stop. We're going over on this side, yarn over, pull through one loop, pull through two loops, and we're going to stop because now that's where this guy comes in before you finish this decrease. So once again, we're going to hold the pink over, fold the white in the back, and put your finger on it. And now we are going to slip stitch through all three with the pink, and that finishes that one. And don't forget to add that single crochet stitch on top of the decrease, which goes back here, and we are going to go over the white. And now we will do the same thing for this side, except for now we don't have to change any colors, so we can just keep going. Anywhere you have a single, crochet over the white. We'll do our decrease real quick here on both sides. Single on the top to secure that one. And back down here, 1, 2, on this side, 1, 2, 3, and we will finish with a single over the white. Add one more single and a border stitch. And then you add row 9 and we will have this. Ta-da, it's done. And before we move on to going over the special stitches and how to change those, I do not want to forget to explain how to read this if you are crocheting this left-handed. So if you're actually crocheting this way and reading the charts this way, that's going to change where these color changes happen. And for you, those will be at the end of, just like on this side when we were reading this way, that was the last stitch. When you're reading it left-handed, this is your last stitch on this side for row 2. And then row 4, same thing, it would be this last stitch here. So we are covering this one. And then row 6 will be this last stitch right here. And same one with 8. This will be half because you'll be doing the single crochet with the new color. And now let's take a look at what you may come across when you're working with a chart that has 3 colors. You'll see these pink boxes and they will represent like half a stitch if you're doing a special stitch. And we covered this one already, this last stitch here. This would be the single crochet that would become the next color. And it's going to look different depending on what chart you have, but this one just shows the DC decrease, which is in color A, and then up here we have the DC decrease in color B, and that's why it's shaded on this one, but it's exactly the same. The steps are the same. It just depends on what color you're working with on a pattern. And I know this looks like a lot of stuff, but most of these stitches are basically the same. They end the same way. So when you're doing a special stitch, all you really need to remember is before you fully finish the stitch, you want to switch colors when you have 2 loops left on your hook. When you're doing DC decreases, that last stitch will always be 3 loops on your hook. So those 3 loops will be what you pull through to do your color change. Okay, and now what I would like to do is run through some of these stitches pretty quickly. Like I mentioned, a lot of them end exactly the same way, but I'm gonna just show you so you're not confused when you come across these stitches in a pattern. So let's just start with this DC decrease. You can see that this one ends with a solid box here. It's basically the same way, except this one starts with a single crochet on this side. So let's do that one. I've got my yarn set up already. I'm going to be carrying and switching between these 2 colors. So let's start with orange, and for this stitch we start with a single crochet like we do for the ones that have the lines above it, and then start the decrease below it in these 2 stitches. And then before we finish the stitch, when we have 3 loops left on our hook, now we fold over to the back over the pink, and now we're going to pull through all 3, and that finishes it. So now we are ready to start the next stitch, and the DC decrease with this box here just starts the next stitch. I'm just going to add a single crochet stitch here just to give it a little bit of space from the next one. And now we'll look at this one also is 2 DCs in the same stitch, and all this means is you're finishing that last DC with the new color. So again, another super easy one. We're skipping the next stitch and putting 2 DCs down here. So 1 DC, 2 DCs, and before we finish that DC, we will have 2 on our hook. Fold this over in the back for tension. And now with our new color, we will finish the stitch. So now that is ready for the next stitch in the new color. Super easy. Let's go on to a bobble stitch. So I'm just going to add a single to get it out of the way. So this one we're not dropping down. Bobble stitch is always done in the same row. It is basically exactly the same as a DC decrease, except for it's all in the same stitch. So we will make our bobble stitch, and this one again, when you have 3 loops left on your hook, then you fold over the old color to the back, grab the new one, and finish the bobble stitch with the new color through all 3, and now we can start the next stitch. So let's put a single over here just so you can see how this one looks with a new color right next to it. There it is, and there's red ready to go. Well, pinkish red. And now over here we just have the 2 double crochets in the same stitch and followed by a skip. It's done exactly the same way as the one that I showed you right over here, except for the skip is after you make the color change. I am going to show you how that looks. Again, both of these are the same. They look like they're different colors because this just happens to be a white row and this happens to be a purple row. Doesn't even matter. So let's do 2 down here. So 1, 2, and before we finish that stitch, we wait until we have 2 left, and then we are going to fold over, take the new yarn, slip stitch through both, and then we are skipping this next stitch, and that is going to complete that one like that. And again, pull over the old color when you're making a single crochet, and we'll just add a single right there. So now that is 2 DCs together going in this direction. And these decreases again are just like I showed you with the skull that we did earlier, but let's do it again so you can be absolutely certain you're doing it the right way. This is a DC decrease that ends with a single crochet at the last stitch. Same with this one, same stitch, ends up there. So we finish the DC decrease and then with the new color add the single crochet. So we will start the decrease down here to the next stitch to make the rest of the decrease. 1 loop, 2 loops when you have 3. Now we're ready to pull over this color, wrap the orange one into the back, and now we are slip stitching with the new color through all 3. And we don't want to forget, pull this old color back across because we still need to add that single crochet stitch on top here to finish the DC decrease. And now that is what that one looks like. This is the 2 decreases that go in together, and there's that single that finishes it. And next we have some diagonal stitches. These are just like doing regular DCs. These will start with a single and then double in the same stitch space below, and you skip the next stitch. So we are switching colors at that DC before we move on. Here we go. We'll start with a single, so we'll go over this color. And then directly below, we are starting the DC down here. So we will start it, but don't finish it because we are switching colors. Now that we have 2, now fold this one in the back, have this one over, and we'll finish the diagonal with the new color and skip the next stitch. So let's just pop in a single so we can see what it looks like over here. So now, and this is a little tough to see, but there is the diagonal stitch going this way, ending with the new color. And now when we have diagonals in the opposite direction, when we have diagonal downs, these will start with a DC and the single crochet will be the one that's the new color. Okay, so for a diagonal down, we are skipping this stitch and we are doing a DC down there. But remember, keep in mind, don't do the entire stitch because we will switch colors before we finish. So there's the DC. And we want to switch colors, pull that down, have this over, finish the stitch. And now, just like that DC decrease we did before, we're going to pull over the old color and add that single crochet stitch back here over the orange like that. And so now the stitch is half and half. This is the stitch you'll end up seeing, and usually they'll have other stitches covering that, so that'll be covered. So far I haven't needed to use diagonals that switch colors, but I figured I'd add it just in case in the future there are some patterns that end up having those. And now we have some triangle stitches. Once again, I will run through these pretty quick because again, these end with a double crochet stitch. And as we know how to already finish a double crochet stitch with a new color, it is the same. I just want to show you what the stitch looks like. So the steps for a triangle will be skip, DC down here, single crochet back up here, DC down here, and when we do this one, that is where we'll do the color change. So let's do 1 DC down here, and directly above it we add a single crochet, so why not take the opportunity and crochet over this other color. Anytime that you can add a stitch over this floating yarn, it's good to do. And then the next DC underneath in the same stitch down here, but we are going to switch colors at the end. So stop when you have to on your hook, turn this down, pull this over, and now we will switch colors through here. And then we skip the next stitch, don't forget. So the next stitch would go right here. And let's pull over that yarn just to add a single and get it out of the way. And there is our triangle that ends with our new color. These two stitches here I'm not even going to show because it is exactly the same as these decreases right here. It almost doesn't really matter what you start with as long as you know when you finish this decrease on this side, you will finish with the single crochet in the next color. Basically, if you see a slanted stitch like that, this is exactly the way we did it like that, where we pull through 3 loops to change the color. So we're going to skip that one. We are also going to skip this one because this is the same as this one right here. It almost doesn't matter how many DCs you do before that last DC stitch. So all you need to do is your 3 DCs, and with the 3rd DC is where you will switch colors and move on to the next stitch. And here we have the last one, which is again going to be just like these diagonal stitches. These are just double diagonals where they have an extra DC stitch in between, so both will be on an angle. We also can skip those because they end exactly the same way as these diagonal stitches that we already covered. And now we are going to take all of this knowledge and we are going to follow a chart that is already marked out with all of these color changes. Okay guys, here is the pillow panel that I started in 2021 and I am going to finish today. I never let projects go this long without finishing, but I knew when I was working on this that I really needed to make a video. So before we get started adding our final section of sunglasses here, I want to show you the insanity that is going on in the back. So this kind of shows you the madness of my brain. I've been trying to test different ways of doing 3-color mosaic crochet this whole time. So for years, I'm like, okay, there's got to be an easier way to do stuff. So technically, all 3 of these sections are technically 4-color mosaic crochet because each row is 2 colors. So for the background, we switch to the lens color, and then we go back to the background, and then the lens and the background. That's fine, we get that. But I also have a different frame on this side and a different color frame on this side. And I really kind of didn't like the idea of carrying the white all the way from over here if we only need it on this section. Why do we got to start it over here? So I was real lazy and I just was like, how about we just tie it and then we will continue. Obviously this is a super lazy, really sloppy way of doing it, but I was like, hey, I'll give it a try. We're not going to do it like this. We'll do something similar, but not like this. And now this one, now the back looks really strange because all of these stitches I anchored, and I know maybe some of you might not know what that is, but it's basically when you make sure that there are no strands that are floating in the back. The DC stitches are done completely differently. It takes a lot longer, it takes up more yarn. I feel like the stitches look a little different. There's like space in between them because you have to anchor that loose strand before starting the stitch. And I know some of you might love doing it like that. I'm not a personal fan of it, so I'm not gonna do it like this. This took forever just to do just this part here. I'm not doing it like that. I like my way, where we are just letting these float, especially because we're gonna make this into a pillow, so we're not even gonna see the back. Now this is closer to what we're going to be working on, but again, I worked the yellow and carried it all the way across to start that. So when we do 2 here, we're actually going to cast on right at the end of this last section. We're going to cast on with the other color that we're using. that is the plan for this one. So we are going to put the cat eye sunglasses at the top section here, and on this side we're going to do the square ones, but I'm not going to film this part because I feel like the video is going to be 6 hours long if we do both of them. But I'm going to show you how to do that color change in the middle here, and if you want to buy the pattern and figure it out, all of them are marked out. I have left hand and right hand instructions for the whole pattern, all 6 different sets of sunglasses. So you can do whatever you want and have any kind of configuration that you would like, and I'll have the instructions. And as you can see, we've done all of these stitches already. There isn't anything new here, but just so you can see how everything comes together and how the pattern forms, we are going to work on this right now. So we are going to begin with row 2 of this chart, which is the frame color, and all we need to do for this row is single crochet all the way across in the frame color of your choosing. I am going to use purple for these cat eye glasses, and then when we get to the end of this chart here, I'm going to switch to a teal color for the other set of glasses. And I set up the rows on my pillow so it starts 3 stitches over from the actual pattern, and the reason why I did that is because when you're making a pillow it curves in on the sides, and I didn't want any of this to be too close to the edge. So I'm going to quickly add row 2 of the chart, all single crochet stitches across, and I will meet you at the halfway point here to switch colors. All of the charts in this pattern are 27 stitches across, so if you're starting with 3 extra stitches, all you need to do is count 3 and then count 27 to know where your halfway point is. Okay, so I just counted from here the 3 stitches and then 27, and I am not near the center yet, and this is because I have not crocheted this in 1.5 years, so I totally forgot that there's actually 3 stitches that I added between the patterns here. This will all be included in the updated version, I promise you. So this is where I marked, this is where the next pattern will start right here. So we are going to go up to this second stitch there because we have 3. This is the middle point here. Let's crochet to that point and we will switch colors right here. So in this stitch we will start just like we do normally with a single crochet, and now before we finish that stitch we are going to cast on with our new color. So again, however you cast on is fine. There we go. So now we have this color on here. Okay, it's a little tricky, but if you hold this one down here, now we can slip stitch our new color. And what I'd like to do is crochet over this tail a little bit just so we have this secured on this side. We can take this out. So now that we are working with this color here, let's go over these 2 tails. So now we are working with the new color. We will do single crochet for 1, 2 stitches, and now we're going to follow the other chart, but because this is just all single crochet in this row, I am going to continue, and when we have enough we can stop crocheting over the tails because we won't need them. They'll be secure and out of the way, and we can just cut them and just work with the teal color here. So that is more than enough stitches at this point. Let's just cut this so it is out of the way, and then when we are working with the overlay stitches we won't need to deal with that. So I'm going to just finish this row off camera and we will work on this side again. Ooh, so look at that, we are done with that, and really only the stitches that we crocheted over that tail are a little bit bigger, but once you have overlay stitches on top of those you're not going to see it at all. And now we are ready to start row 3. The lens color is always going to be the color that you are carrying, and you will always start with the background color for this pattern. So let's add our border stitch right here over the lens color. And because this pattern starts with 3 DCs every time, I'm going to quickly do that before we even look at the chart. So row 3 starts with 5 double crochet and then a DC decrease that ends with a single crochet on top, and this is where the color change will be. So let's add our 5 DCs, and again, there's nothing to go over with the color that we're floating behind because these are DCs and not single crochet, and that is okay. It will connect when we have our next single crochet. And now we have our 5 double. We are going to start the DC decrease and start it in the next 2 stitches. And before we get to the end, we are going to stop when we have 3 on our hook and hold this color over, fold this one in the back and hold it. And now we are switching to the lens color, and we are pulling this over and adding our single crochet stitch on top of the decrease right back here. Hold that over. So that finishes that stitch, and make sure that it's not pulling too tight and it's not too loose. So we are just right. And the next 3 stitches are single crochet, and then we'll stop because we have another color change. So let's do 1, 2, 3 over this color to secure it. And now we have our color change right here. Now this one, we are going to start with a single crochet and switch colors before we do the decrease. So when we are switching colors with a single, we are dropping this one. We're not crocheting over that. Let's begin our single, 1 step, pull through 1 loop and stop. Now we can pull this across and fold the back down to secure it. And now let's switch colors, pull through, and now we'll start the DC decrease directly below. In these next 2 stitches, and pull through all 3, and now we can pull over the black and crochet over that with any single we have. The next 3 stitches will be 3 double crochet, and then just like we had on this side, we are switching colors at the end of this decrease. Let's do 3 DCs. 1, 2, 3. Let's start that DC decrease. 1, and the next one, 2. When we have 3, we're switching. Hold that yarn color over, pull this one down in the back, and make sure it's not pulling too tight, nice and straight across, not too tight, not too loose. Pull through all 3 stitches. Don't forget to add that single crochet stitch to finish the DC decrease. Hold over the background color to secure that one. Next 3 stitches are single, just like we had on the other side. 1, 2, 3, and again, just like we had on the other side, it repeats again. We are doing the DC decrease that starts with the single, and that single we are switching colors. Drop this back one, don't crochet over it, start the single, pull through one loop, and now we can switch. Hold this over, fold the one in the back. Oops, there we go. Now pull through, and let's work this DC decrease in the background color. These two stitches together and through all three. And now to finish this chart, we have 5 double crochet, and we are just going to let it float in the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have 2 more stitches before you start your next chart. There will be 3 in between right there. But this is how row 3 looks completed. And now row 4 is super easy. We're just doing all single crochet, and we have a diagonal down into the space of the DC decrease, and then another diagonal up out of the DC decrease, and down again and up again, with no color changes until we get to this part over here. I already started with the 3 single crochet stitches just before the pattern starts, so I am going to quickly move across this one, nice and easy, all single crochet. And then when you get to that DC decrease stitch right here, you're skipping over the top of this one, and the diagonal down will go into this hidden stitch here, connecting to the purple, and finish the stitch with a single on top. And there's your diagonal down, and we'll add more singles across to that next DC decrease. Right here, this is where the DC will go, so we'll start with a single for our diagonal up, and then down here to finish the stitch, and skip that DC decrease, the stitch on the top, skip it. We're gonna add 3 single across the middle here, and back down again into this hidden stitch here, a diagonal down, and that one finishes with a single back up here. We have 3 more single to get to the next decrease. Now in that decrease, just like the other side, that's the stitch we're connecting to. We're starting with a single for the diagonal up and down here, and we skip the next stitch, which is the top of the decrease, and we'll add our stitch here. And now let's switch to the other color. And I know this was where we switched last time, but now that I'm working on this one, we need more space for hiding the tail and stuff like that. So since we're done with the purple already, let's just switch. And just like we did before, we are going to start the next stitch with a single, just like that. 2 loops. We're going to cast on with your new color. Just like that. And we will pull through, and we will crochet over these 2 tails just to hold them in place, and then we can cut them and get them out of the way because we don't need them. So let's do our singles over these tails. There we go. Let's see how that color change happened, and it's not even going to matter because all of these will be hidden behind DC stitches. So let's just get this going here. And then we can move on to the next row. I just want to show you, if you plan on changing your lens color in the next section, this is the easiest way to do it without carrying it through the entire row. So I'll stop there. Let's just trim these now and get them out of the way. And then I will continue working on this side over here, and I will meet you for the next row on this side. And now we are back to working with the background color and lens color. I went ahead and added the border stitch and the first 3 stitches in the pillow. So let's take a look at row 5, and this one will start with 3 doubles and then a decrease that ends with the single crochet in the new color, exactly how we have it over here. So I'll go ahead and do that. So let's add our 3 double crochet, and 3, and now let's start our DC decrease in the next 2 stitches. Stop when we have 3 on our hook, and now we are going to fold this over here, hold this down in the back, and pull through all 3 with the new color. Don't forget to add the single to finish the double crochet, and that is back here, and hold the old color over to finish the single like that. Now the next stitch is a skip, and we have 2 DCs in the same stitch, 3 doubles and 2 DCs in the same stitch. We're skipping this next stitch right here, and we're putting 2 in there. So here we go, 1 and 2, and we have the 3 DCs, 1, 2, 3, and then the 2 will go in that diagonal here. That's the hidden stitch. That's where 2 DCs are going into the same stitch. 1, 2. And now the next stitch we're skipping is this one right here, but now we need to look at the chart because we are switching colors again. We are starting this DC decrease centered with a color change, and we are ending the stitch with a color change as well. So 2 for the price of 1. Let's show you how that works. So after we've skipped, we are immediately going to switch colors in the next stitch. So because the next stitch is a single, we are not crocheting over this one. We are going into this stitch right here with the single. So start the single, pull through 1 loop. Now we can pull over this other color and fold it back over. Now we are ready to switch to this one. Also make sure it's not super tight back here. So hold it down there. And you can kind of adjust it while you're holding it so it's not pulling tight, because you don't want these to be puckered like that. So now that we are ready to switch, we will do that. And now let's start the DC decrease centered, which will be in this stitch and in this stitch. We're decreasing in these 2 stitches. So we will start in this one, and then we will go over to this one over here. And again, before we finish this stitch, we're switching back to black again. So we will pull the black back over this way, fold this one down in the back, and we will pull through all 3 loops to finish the DC decrease centered. And as always, finish that with a single crochet right there, right above that stitch, and make sure you're going over the background color at the same time. So we'll pull that over and make that single crochet right there. And that is what that looks like. Basically one stitch in the middle here and black on both sides like that. In these hidden stitches, again, 2 DCs in the first one, 1 and 2, like that, and then 3 DCs again, 1, 2, 3, and in this hidden stitch right here is where 2 more DCs will go. 1 and 2. And then of course we're skipping the next stitch and we are going to check the chart again because we have one more color change right here to get back to the background. So we are starting with a single for the DC decrease. And what do we do with a single? We do not crochet over that color. So this is the skip right at the top of this diagonal. This is the stitch we're going into, and don't crochet over that one. Insert your hook and pull through 1. Now we can pull over this color, make sure it's even in the back here. Hold the black at the back, and we are ready to slip stitch with the new color, and then begin the DC decrease in the next 2 stitches directly below. So 1 and 2. And then we pull through all 3. And the last 3 stitches in this row are DCs, so we will go ahead and add those right now. And we will be finished with this row. And this is where we are at with this one. Now let's do row 6. And row 6 will be, once again, all single crochet except for we have a diagonal down into this hidden stitch here, just like we had in the previous row. And then when we get to this center point here, we have a DC and a DC going into those, and we will finish with the diagonal up into this last stitch right here. So pretty easy row. And let's blast through this one. Let's do singles until we get to that DC decrease, and once again that will be in that hidden stitch here. You're skipping the top of the decrease. Let's do our diagonal down in here. Oops, don't split. Well, let's try that one again. This yarn is beautiful, but splits. Here we go. And we will finish the diagonal down like that. And we just need single crochet all across these black stitches up to this one right here. And here we are. Now when we're looking at this one, the DC will go in here and the other DC will go right there. So let's add the first one on this side, like that. And then a single in the middle of this beige color, and then DC down here. And these color changes are so super close together. Once you start adding more stitches, it's harder to see this little black part in here. So let's continue single crochet up until the next decrease where we will do our diagonal up. And just like down before, this is where we will put our double crochet for the diagonal up. So back down here. And we will skip the next stitch and we'll add a single over here. So I will go ahead and I will meet you back on this side for the next round. And here we are at row 7, and this one is all DCs, but the first 2 are regular, and then at the end of the 3rd DC we are switching colors, and we will have a single crochet after that, and then again we're switching, and then we have 1 and we are switching again, so we'll work on that one when we get there. So we will start 2 DCs, 1 and 2, and then we will start the one that will have the color change and stop when we have our 2 loops. Hold the black over here, fold the beige back there, and we are ready to slip stitch through those 2 and pull this one over because the next stitch is a single. So right up here, let's do our single crochet, 7 DCs before we have one that has another color change. So let's do these, 1, 2, and 7. And now, just like we did with the beginning, over here, start the DC and stop because we are switching. So now that we are almost done, we can pull this one over, fold the black down, and switch by pulling through both. Now the next stitch, we're going to, again, pull this over because the next stitch is a single, and we are going to go in the next stitch and pull over the black. So now we are crocheting over the black one, and now the next stitch again, let's look, is another color change. So now this one again is a DC, and we are switching back to black for this one. So we will start it down here in the middle, pull through 1, pull through 2. Now we are switching again, pull this one down, and we are ready to switch to the black. And now pull over the beige for our next single crochet, and that will go in the very next stitch here, and add your single. And just like on the other side, the next set of stitches are 7 DCs. Well, let's get through these quickly to the end. And now the next one is another DC in here with a color change. So we will start it in this stitch, and now we will switch colors once again, hold that over, pull this down, and we are ready to pull through and pull the black over because the next stitch is a single, and we will crochet over the black like that. And the last 3 stitches are DCs, and let's do that to finish this row. And let's take a look at our work so far. Looking good, nothing sticking out on the edges. All of the colors are hidden behind the other stitches, and we are ready for the next row. And welcome to row 8. This one starts with 2 single, and we have 2 DCs in the same stitch right into this single from below. And then as we follow, these are all single, and then we have 2 more DCs to keep in this line, and then singles all the way across, and we will finish with 2 DCs in the same stitch right there. Another nice and easy row. So let's blast through this one, and we have 2 single to start. We are skipping the next stitch, and this is the one that we are adding 2 DCs. So we got 1 and 2. And now these will all be single crochet stitches in all of the black stitches across. And now we're up to the DC, which will go right on top of this one here. So 1 DC, single crochet in the next stitch on top of this beige one right here, and another DC on the other side right down here. Let's add that one. Now we have single crochet across all of these black stitches, and we will stop there. So singles across, and now we have our 2 DCs that go right down here into this purple. So 1 and 2. Skip the next stitch, and we will add a single right here. And now that we're done with the purple, I'm going to go ahead and switch to the teal and work on this side. So this is how this one's looking so far. Now that we're at row 9, this is actually the last row where we will need to make any color changes, because everything after that is just one color. This one will start with 2 doubles, and then we will switch colors with a single. So we will begin with 2 double crochet without any color changes. So 1 and 2, and now the next stitch is a color change single crochet, so don't crochet over this. Insert your hook, pull through 1 loop, and now we will do the color change. And hold that down, and we will switch colors to finish the single, and we will pull the beige back over, because the next color, the next stitch will be a single crochet, and we can do it over the beige to hold it in place. Now the next 6 stitches are double crochet. And now we have a DC decrease again that ends with a single, and the single is the color change. So let's start in these next 2 stitches, start the decrease, start the next stitch and the decrease. We have 3 on our hook. Now let's switch colors, fold it back, pull through all 3. Don't forget to add the single, which is above this stitch back here, and we will hold the black over this stitch to secure it in place and add our single, just like that. Now the next 3 stitches are single, so we can go over the black. 1, 2, 3, and the next stitch is a DC decrease, and this one starts the color change with the single. So with a single, hold that one down. We're going to go through 1 loop to get started, and now we will switch. Pull through those 2 loops and start the DC decrease in these 2 stitches directly below it, just like we did on the other side, but now it's the opposite direction. So these will be the 2 decreases, and pull through all 3. Now you can see that's where the single is, and the decrease is angled that way. And now the next 5 stitches in the chart will be DCs, and the last DC is a color change. So we will start the DC, and when we have 2 loops, it's ready to switch. And this is another one where we have a long strand, so make sure it's not too tight, not too loose. Let's hold it in place and slip stitch through to finish the stitch. Now we can pull this one over because the next stitch is single, and we can add that over the black, and the next stitch single again over the black, and the last two stitches in the row are DCs right here, 1 and 2. And this is how row 9 looks all finished. Row 10 starts with 2 single, a DC, 2 DCs in the same stitch, skip, and then we have all these single crochet, and then we will do 2 DCs into this single crochet stitch of the DC decreases, and then we have 3 single, 2 DCs, and a skip, and we will continue. It's pretty much the mirror image on both sides. So let's do this real quick. 2 single right here, and a DC in the purple, next stitch is 2 DCs in the next purple stitch, and then we are skipping this next black stitch. I know it's a little hard to see. We're skipping that one. We're going to the next one, and we will add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get to this side here. We're skipping over the decrease stitch here, and we are going into this stitch with 2 double crochet into this hidden spot right there. 1 and 2. And we have 3 single, 1, 2, 3, and then again in this hidden stitch right here is where we're adding 2 DCs into the same stitch, 1 and 2. Skip the next stitch, which is the top of this decrease, and we are adding 5 single, 1 and 2 DCs in the same stitch down here, 1 and back in the same hole for our second. Next stitch is a DC, and the next 2 stitches are single, but I'm just going to add 1 because I'm going to switch colors to do this side right there. And this is how row 10 looks finished. We are pretty much almost done. And now we're working on row 11. We are no longer doing any color changes, but because I still need this black yarn for these sunglasses over here, I am going to carry the black and attach it whenever I have single crochet stitches, just like we did before. So row 11 is going to start with 2 double crochet, and we will work all single crochet up until the middle point where we will skip and add 2 DCs in the middle with another DC, 2 DCs right there, and now we will have single crochet for all the way across here up to this stitch right here. And this whole time we are going to crochet over the black just so we can carry this all the way to the other side. So now we are skipping this next stitch and we are putting 2 DCs here, 1 DC in the middle, and 2 DCs in the third stitch. So 1 and 2, and then one in the middle. There's that one. Two in this next stitch here. One and two. And we are skipping this stitch right here, and we are going to the next one to do our next single, which means we can pull the black back over to hold it in place and carry it along. So now we have 9 singles across here. And after those are done, we have 2 double crochet at the very end. 1 and 2. And here is what that finished row looks like. And let's take a look at row 12. This one will start with 2 single, 7 doubles, and a decrease that ends with a single crochet, and then we have 5 single and another decrease, and we will continue that side over there, basically exactly the reverse as that. So we have 2 single, 7 double, so it'll be before these 2 stitches. Let's add 7 here. And a regular DC decrease that ends with a single in the next 2 stitches. And finish that with a single up here. So now we have that decrease done. We have 5 single across. And now in the opposite direction we have another DC decrease. This one starts with a single. And then directly below in these 2 stitches we will add our decrease. And then 7 double crochet to this point. And 2 more singles to finish, but I am doing my color change here, so I will stop. And this is what that row ends up looking like. And we got 1 more row to go. And now we're ready for the very last row, and lucky for us, there's no special stitches, no color changes, no carrying. We're done. Everything is super easy to the end. We have 2 DCs, 8 single, 7 DCs, 8 single, 2 DCs, and we're done. So this is just finishing up this very last row covering the purple. We'll add our 8 single across the top here. And our next DC is going to be in this stitch here. And this will be 7 DCs across here. And now we have 8 single on the top of these stitches here. And finally finishing with 2 DCs. 2 doubles right there. And I will finish this row here. And we have this all done. There are our cat eye sunglasses. And to finish this pillow, I am going to go ahead and add another row all single crochet, and then another row all overlay DCs, just like we have right here, and then finishing it with another row of single crochet in both loops to finish off the top. And the reason why I'm doing that is because that's how I started the bottom, and I want it to be consistent at the top as well. So I will go ahead and do that and show you what this looks like all finished. I forgot to quickly mention that the last 3 rows I'm doing, you can do them all in your background color, but because I actually did this single crochet row in white for each one of these, I'm going to keep it consistent. So my next single crochet row I will do in white, and then the next 2 rows will be the background color, and then we can assemble and stuff the pillow and we'll be done with all of that. So here is our completed pillow panel, and in order to make it into a pillow we need to have a second panel, and lucky for me I crocheted this one a bajillion years ago, so this one's ready to go. And I think just to make this pillow as loud as possible, we're gonna add hot pink faux fur trim around the entire pillow to close it up, and we will stuff it and we will be done. And here is the finished pillow. I absolutely love how this one came out, especially with this fuzzy edge here. This kind of camouflages all of the different colors on the edges and the border stitches. This is I would definitely recommend giving this a try. I hope this video helped to demystify the 3-color mosaic crochet technique, and I hope you will give this technique a try because it is a lot of fun once you figure out how it all works. The retro sunglasses pattern is fully updated to include this pillow design, so if you would like to pick that one up, that is available. I hope you'll see me back for the next video. I have another one coming up very soon. Thanks so much for watching.